The top 25 stocks in the S&P 500. The S&P 500 consists of 500 companies that have issued a total of 503 stocks. Some companies, such as Alphabet, have issued multiple classes of shares. The top 10 largest holdings are listed on the official S&P Global website. An S&P 500 company must meet specific requirements to be included as a constituent within the index. However, S&P does not currently provide the total list of holdings, at least not for free. Subscribers to S&P's research unit, Capital IQ, can get access to the entire list. S&P 500 companies represent the top companies within their industries and are a gauge of the United States economic activity. S&P Global. S&P Capital IQ Pro. Key takeaways. The S&P 500 includes some of the top companies that are leaders within their industries and represent a gauge of the United States economy. Companies must meet certain requirement criteria, which are determined by the publishers of the index before being added to the S&P. The S&P 500 index is market capitalization weighted, where it gives a higher percentage allocation to companies with the largest market cap. A stock must meet certain criteria, including a total market cap of $14.5 billion to join the S&P 500. Companies may be removed from the S&P 500 if they deviate substantially from these standards. S&P 500 inclusion criteria. The S&P 500 was created in 1957 and is one of the most widely quoted stock market indexes. S&P 500 stocks represent the largest publicly traded companies in the U.S. The S&P 500 focuses on the United States market's large-cap sector. $39.7 trillion. That is the total combined market cap of the 503 constituents in the S&P 500 as of August 31, 2023. S&P 500 calculation. The S&P 500 is a free-float market capitalization weighted index. Market capitalization represents the total dollar market value of a company's outstanding equity shares. Market cap is calculated by multiplying the total number of outstanding shares of stock by the company's current stock price. For example, a company with 20 million shares outstanding, in which its stock is selling for $100 per share, would have a market cap of $2 billion. As a result, the more valuable an individual company's stock becomes, the more it contributes to the S&P 500's overall return. It is not uncommon for 3/4 of the index's return to be linked to only 50 to 75 stocks. Therefore, the addition or subtraction of smaller companies from the index will not have a noticeable impact on the overall return of the index. However, the removal or addition of even just one of the largest stocks can have a major impact. S&P 500 components are weighted by free-float market capitalization, which means that larger companies can affect the value of the index to a greater degree. Top 25 components by market cap. Because the exact weightings of the top 25 components are not available from S&P directly, the weightings below are from the S&P 500 Trust ETF, SPY. SPY is the oldest ETF that tracks the S&P 500 and holds $406.6 billion in assets under management as of September 20, 2023, and is highly traded. As a result, the SPY's portfolio weightings provide a good proxy for investing in the underlying S&P 500 index, although the two may not be exactly the same. As of September 21, 2023, the following are the 25 largest S&P 500 index constituents by weight. 1. Apple 7.5%, 2. Microsoft 6.54%, 3. Amazon 3.24%, 4. Nvidia 2.79%, 5. Alphabet Class A 2.13%, 6. Tesla 1.95%, 7. Alphabet Class C 1.83%, 8. Berkshire Hathaway 1.89%, Meta Class A 1.81%, 10. United Health Group 1.28%, 11. ExxonMobil 1.27%, 12. Eli Lilly 1.21%, JP Morgan Chase 1.18%, 14. Johnson & Johnson 1.07%, Visa Class A 1.05%, 16. Procter & Gamble 17. MasterCard Class A 0.93%, 18. Broadcom 0.92%, 19. Home Depot Corporation 0.81 Merm to 1.75%, 22. AbbVie 0.75%, 23. Costco 0.67%, 4. PepsiCo 0.60%, Adobe 0.65%. How many companies are in the S&P 500? Although there are generally 500 companies within the index, that number has grown. There were 503 stocks that made up the S&P 500 as of August 31st, 2023. That's because some companies have multiple classes of equity shares, such as Alphabet. How are companies selected for the S&P 500? A company must meet certain requirements for inclusion in the S&P 500, which include a market cap of at least $14.5 billion. Must be a United States company. A float-adjusted liquidity ratio greater than or equal to 0.75. Positive earnings over the most recent 4 consecutive quarters summed together. A profitable earnings report for the company's most recent quarter. The bottom line. The top 25 companies in the S&P 500 are some of the most well-known companies in the world, a large portion of the top 10 being tech companies, such as Apple, Microsoft, and Google. To invest in the companies in the index, investors can purchase the individual stocks of the companies or invest in a fund that tracks the S&P 500.